We got it. YouTube. It's live streamed. It's live streamed on the YouTubes. There we go. Hey guys, it's your boy the chef Bags with Gautam and Nick, Gpiza and JFDI respectively on your Twitters and your stock twits. Actually, it's Gpiza7 on the Twitter.
I know someone already had it. It was kind of a bummer.
No, he's lame. He's lame. No, I don't know him. I shouldn't say that. But yeah, man. I just tweeted everything out. We've got a lot of people who've been ready to go for this guy. So bam. Go ahead and share it. Love it. Favorite it, like it, whatever. We can talk about Twitter later and how much of a fuck storm Twitter's been if we want. But hey, guys, happy 4th of July Eve. It's great for you to be here with me yet again on our normal Monday evening. It was kind of a weird day, right? Like a half day. Now we got a holiday before another day of trading. But the market just keeps moving. We're looking at the Qs here coming off of, nearly 2% last week, and we're up already 0.25% in a half day session. Are we getting frothy as bulls? I don't know. GP,
Why me?
you're the bullish of the bulls.
But I've been a bull for a while.
I know, but I'm saying, are we getting too frothy now? Like,
I don't know. When we were gapping down 40-50%, no one said, oh my god, it's too much, more, right? So I don't think we're frothy in the way that most people think we're frothy. I think we're short-term overbought, but that can be handled through time, not price.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree.
And
I saw Nick's
what's
tweets.
frothy when you have Tesla hit 277 last 2 weeks ago, and then went all the way down to 238. Like, that's a 15% correction in 3 days or 4 days, and to me, that's not frothy. And then obviously today was with their numbers, and they crushed it. Now the big thing will be on earnings. Did they do this via margin compression? And if they show that it wasn't margin compression and it was deflationary cost of goods sold, and they were actually able to get their cost down and maintain margins, guess where Tesla goes after this?
I don't know half the words you just said, but it was a juicy short for me today that I made 15% off of. I loved it. Sorry.
Whatever works for you.
I know. I when I took the trade, I was like, I'm an awful person because everybody was so excited that Tesla was up big, and I was like, this just seemed like VWAP is crazy on the 5-minute chart in the first 20 minutes of the trade. I was like, it's just too good of a short setup. So I made a little bit, but sorry. No, Tesla did have a really good report. And right before we hopped on live, we talked about another really good report and price action, Rivian. I know it's something we've talked about several times on the show, right? If Tesla is going to be a leader, and they are, what's another good secondary play to them? Not Ford, not GM, but Rivian.
Yeah, and to me, Rivian probably outperforms Tesla over the next 5 years.
So there you go. Full daddy bags over here, Nick. What? I know you were bulled up this morning. I saw your tweets all weekend. I saw your tweets this morning. Like, you seem like you were chomping at the bit for the market to open.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have, at least in the Qs, I think we have our range put in. Whether or not we take out that, I mean, the next pivot is basically that 372 on the Qs. But we held the 20-day, and we kind of put in that low at 357. So I'm kind of in the camp that we've found our range, even if we don't take out that pivot here. I think this is kind of where the range that we're going to hold. So
yeah, that goes along with the weekly 9 EMA. So that would make sense if that's kind of the floor for the time being. That's pretty good risk reward too if it came into that.
Yeah. So, I don't remember what I was going to say, but I mean, there's so many good setups, and there have been so many good setups. I think this morning, what I was just trying to say was that, like, pick your names and stick with them. Like, the guys that are probably not doing well are chasing like morning highs, probably getting chopped up on like that first hour, 2 hour
Mhm.
pull in. And then same thing, obviously, on the short side. It's like, I was just looking at like the intraday chart, or like some of the intraday charts.
Give me a name. Give me a number.
Like for instance, what was it? Let's say Google. I think Google actually sold out. No, it didn't. No, Google wasn't a good one, was it?
Netflix.
Was that week early in the morning?
Netflix dropped $8 for no reason.
Yeah, like we're seeing all these bottom wicks, and they're all bouncing off of major moving average. Well, not major, I wouldn't say, but like the 10 and the 20 day. Every morning, I wouldn't say every, but the overwhelming majority of these kind of morning sell-offs are getting bought up. So stick with your names, ride your winners, and let your losers go. Just don't get chopped up. I think is kind of what I was getting at.
I think the other part that I'm seeing a lot on FinTwit is people are looking for beaten up names because they think those are the ones that are going to participate next. And you're like, I think you're missing the point is that we got a broad-based sell-off all of 2022 in almost everything, right? Like even Apple was down, what, 40% or whatever it was last year. Tesla obviously got destroyed. Amazon destroyed, Microsoft, all these, and they've now recovered. But now what you're seeing is the separation between companies that know the environment that they're heading into and the companies that will be fine, but may not grow as much as like, so for example, one that I keep seeing popping up is PayPal. And my chart on PayPal is the same as Square. They don't look like they're being bought.
No.
Right, like it might bounce or whatever, but I think it will be one of the first. There is, to me, a very big lack of accumulation in these charts at these levels, right? So I think you have to be paying attention to see where the volume has come in, and mostly everything went back to the 2020 COVID low pivots, right? And they're all kind of been basing there. I think you talked about it, Nick. Shop is one, but look at Shop versus PayPal. Look at Shop versus
in fairness,
Square.
that looks like a cup and handle to me on PayPal's chart.
Where?
Yeah, I mean, I both PayPal and Square. I mean, there is a setup there. It's just that.
No,
I don't know.
No?
I mean, definitely Square over PayPal, but either way,
cup and handles to me, Bags. Maybe I'm just a little a stickler about this. Cup and handles are part of a larger uptrend. It's a consolidation.
It's definitely not in an uptrend. No,
it's nowhere close to being in an uptrend. And to me, I see that volume that came in on 323. That could be the capitulation volume, but I don't see anyone, like when you start to see these charts, you will see random days where they have massive volume it's a green day, right? And then maybe sell off after that again, but then you'll have another random day, and you'll see these throughout an accumulation pattern. I don't see that in Square and PayPal. They could work. I'm not saying that they won't, but these aren't the types of setups that give me the heebie-jeebies. It gives me the heebie-jeebies, not the confidence that I would need to execute on. Trade, fine, whatever. But
I'm not saying that I'm planning on doing anything with any of those names, but I just noticed that on the daily, it kind of looked cup and handle-ish.
I mean, Square, we rally from here just in the hypothetical. Start to take out like that 70 and kind of push into the high 80s. I think then maybe it's a different conversation, because then we're more inclined to buy the strength, like the breakout through 90.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with the levels on price, but when there isn't much volume to back up that conversation for me, I'm in the camp that I'd be quicker to cut that versus, let's say, Tesla, where massive volume came in at 120, between 101 and 120, right?
Yeah.
Like that was people are like, this is stupid. I'm gonna buy hand over fist and I'm not gonna even look at this, right? That's the type of volume I want to see in names, and I like and to be able to hold it long term.
Yeah, no
All
doubt.
right. What's up, Rachel? Rachel's in with us tonight.
What up?
Rachel Bentwit, howdy. Great to see you. Yeah, I mean, you guys know me long enough. I like semiconductors. I like fintech. That's just kind of like things that I'm into. A couple fintech names that also have been performing really well. Robinhood's been playing actually pretty good. SoFi has been on a tear, and thankfully I didn't get called out of SoFi last week. I was worried there at the end of the week, and it gave it back to me. So didn't have to worry about getting out of those $10. But those names have been acting well too. And I think part of the thesis with PayPal and Square is all these other fintechs are doing well. What about the old, quote unquote, old school fintechs? And the oldest school fintechs, this morning, Nick, you posted about JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Square, PayPal, and what else? Visa, MasterCard, right?
Yeah.
Go into that.
I mean, I like both of the setups on JP Morgan. I actually like the setups on JP Morgan, Visa, and MasterCard. I was just trying to, I don't know, kind of pin them together as far as just if I had to pick 3 versus 3. Goldman, I don't think really looks that great. It's sitting under its 200-day, which is pretty much like a no for me. But and then again, kind of like I with Square, it's not a setup that I'm looking to buy, but if we saw some strength and it moved towards the high end of that range, it's again kind of another conversation.
Of those
but
six, which was your favorite though?
I like JP Morgan and Visa. I think both of those look great.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
But so take a look at Home Depot.
Yeah.
It's ready to roll.
And Lowe's. I'd rather be in Lowe's.
Right. So like if you're like looking at Square and beat up names, right? Home Depot stands out to me because look at those wicks off the bottom there, off the bottom of the range. Look at the volume that came in with those wicks, right?
On a
weekly, like, no, I'm just trying to give my mindset in terms of when I'm looking at charts, like what am I trying to do? I'm trying to parse out the good from the bad, right? And then from that, once you get the good from the bad, parse it into great, good, okay. And so you then can allocate money to the right causes, right? That's the way I do things. So when I'm looking at these charts, is like if I have, money that I want to put 5% in, I'm not going to put it into Square because the charts don't. It's an okay company, or PayPal, right? PayPal's still a market cap of $75 billion, right? So I think it's just how I was just giving my thought process.
Home Depot.
FedEx looks great, right? Like the transports are looking great.
Yeah, we talked about FedEx last week too.
Yeah. And I had a monster week, right? So, and then you have now coin and crypto joining the party, and coin, that monthly accumulation.
Yeah.
That to me is it's just it's got everything that's ready for much further upside, but the prices, yes, it's moved a lot over the last 2 weeks, but the price is nowhere close to where it can go.
I've taken profit out on coin. It's what I've got on is going to ride. I didn't want to put any new short-term options positions on because of the short day today and then no market tomorrow. I would rather wait till Wednesday and then go another month out on stuff. But yeah, coin.
God, look at those volume bars.
I mean, it's
on the monthly.
impressive.
Yeah,
it is monster impressive in my opinion.
Pretty
and so
impressive.
I when I saw this on the monthly, one of the first things I did was buy 2025 leaps, right? And I didn't go buy out of the money. I bought close to the money. I bought, I think January 2025, 60 leaps. And I want to be long, but I don't want to commit the capital of owning the shares. So it was a better way
Sure.
for me to do it for the longer term. And I'm not going to look at those for a while. Like
Yeah.
it can gyrate throughout the days and whatever, but I'm not going to look at it for a while because I'm going to trust what I've learned and what I can read about charts, and I'll keep alerts to, if it gets below a certain price for me, then I'll consider scrapping it. But right now, just going to let it ride.
What do you think of those smaller miner, whatever they are, miners, Mara, Riot, and Hut?
Dude, Hut's already done 90% in 2 weeks.
They are flying.
Yeah. Look at
Flying.
the volume on Hut. Look at the
Yeah.
volume on Hut. It is bananas.
They're flying.
I mean,
What was the
both
other one? Mara,
same
Hut,
thing,
and what was the other one you
Riot.
mentioned?
and
Riot.
Riot. I mean, basically over the course of this year, so over the last like 6 months, like that volume is massive. I mean, I'm trying to, even compared to the run in 2020,
Yep.
the volume over the last like year is gigantic.
It's huge. And
I guess
you know,
Riot's not.
and the thing is,
a little
it's
under
at
that,
the
but-
place where it broke out, right, Nick? So to
Yeah.
me, it's like we had a full retest, basically a reset of every chart from 2022, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, 2020 COVID. Almost every chart, except for like Apple and a few others, but almost every chart basically retested their 2020 lows, and they've reset, and everyone's trying to compare to where the price was. That's where we're finding resistance, yes, but the moves can be much bigger, as you know, you've seen.
All right. Here's the question. I got $5,000 to give you, and you have to buy either MicroStrategy, Hut, Riot, or Mara Wednesday on market open. Which one are you buying?
Mara Riot probably.
I'm looking at the charts. Give me a minute.
I mean, I'm gonna go with Riot.
Yeah, I kind of like Riot too, Nick.
I really like them all. I
Ooh, Mara.
Mara looks good too.
yeah.
Hold on.
I
I gotta
bought
go to
the-
I gotta go to quarterly to go here. Hold on. I still think it's Hut.
It's still Hut.
Yeah.
All right.
It's either Hut or Mara. It's not Riot.
Okay. See, Nick and I like the laggard play for the catch up.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly,
GP is
I
all
kinda-
about let's go with the hot hand.
You got to buy strength in this market, not weakness, because the weakness is telling you there's something wrong with the business. That's what I've been
Yeah.
trying to say, right?
Yeah.
And we may not know what it is, but if the business was doing well, then people would be jumping in hand over fist trying to get these prices in these names. Yet Square's been doing jack. So like that, I think that's why you need to buy strength and not weakness in this market.
So you wouldn't buy MicroStrategy then?
MicroStrategy is a pure Bitcoin play. So
Sure.
it doesn't look as good to me, right? It just,
It's
I don't know, man. Literally, it's a coin flip between all these.
volume wise,
no doubt.
and what I mean, it's a pretty big move in what 2 weeks for MicroStrategies.
I think Mara probably stands out the most.
Yeah. Based on the volume.
Yeah.
So Mara or Hut, GP? Did you settle with
Yeah.
Hut, or did you go back to Mara?
No, I'm saying it's a coin toss between those two as like the better ones.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you would ride Hut right now if I gave you $5,000 and said it has to go into one. You're saying Hut.
I would wait for a pullback here, but yes.
Oh my God. That's not the deal. I said on market open Wednesday morning, you have to put $5,000.
I will send you a text that says I've bought it, but I will not buy it and I will wait for it.
Oh my gosh.
You want me to be prudent or dumb, right? Like, which one do you want me to be?
I don't care. Sometimes dumb works.
No.
Bitcoin's holding up incredibly well.
Bitcoin is going to $40,000 quick, fast, in a hurry. I've been saying this for the last few weeks. I mean it. It's going to happen. We're going to come all the way up here to this blue line. We're going to consolidate for a couple weeks, and then we're going to go higher. That's what's going to happen. There you go. There's the story. Next. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, Bitcoin is doing really well.
I think it's alt season, as we're already starting to see, right?
It's not.
Did
It
you
is
see
not.
what Bitcoin Cash has done in 2 weeks?
I know, but you look at the Bitcoin dominance, and it's not yet.
I know. Wait for it,
It
though.
is not.
Wait for it.
Well, I mean, it can come. You look at Ethereum to Bitcoin, and right in the middle, lower part of the range. That doesn't mean it can't change overnight, but it is not. If we're waiting for confirmation, it is not altcoin season yet. Daddy is still running the table out here in these streets.
So if Bitcoin's heading to 40, you think does that put like Ethereum at like 3K then? Or you think it's going back to like closer to 4?
If Bitcoin's going to, yeah, it'll be
Or
about-
35, I'm
yeah, it'll be
sorry.
like 3 something. Yeah, if Bitcoin goes to 40, it'll be like 3 something.
The problem with MicroStrategy is they're not selling Bitcoin, right? So even if it goes up in price,
Yeah, it's just it's a value, right?
right, it's paper value, right? So like if you're looking at Hut's actually a miner, right? So they're actually turning around, and let's say they mine 75 Bitcoins in a quarter, they're turning around and selling 50 of them and only keeping 25. So they're generating profit with the Bitcoin that they're mining, right? Whereas MicroStrategy is like, Bitcoin has to go up for us to go up. Oh, by the way, we have another business that no one talks about anymore.
Yeah.
So to me, MicroStrategy is a low float, so it can go bananas at any point in time. I think some of the more pure miner names will benefit a lot more if Bitcoin continues to show strength. It doesn't necessarily even need to break out to 40,000.
No.
It just needs to show strength and not weakness, right? So when you see that, then, and you're basically seeing it. We're seeing the maturity cycle in crypto in general, right? Because they've basically weeded out all the garbage, or they've done a lot, like FTX, Binance, whatever, right? And now you're starting to get to see the big players step in and give you stability in the crypto market.
I love it. We're talking crypto. We haven't really been able to do this in a while.
No.
I posed the question to Cookie over the weekend with he and Bull Clinton, what some of the altcoins they like. Bull Clinton is like he's one of Cookie's. He's been in Cookie's group, and he's really into the altcoins. Cookie said Vertcoin, corn for the people, AVAX, which I love, AXS, Solana, and Shiba Inu. Those aren't necessarily my cup of tea, even though I love AVAX, and I've got a large position in AVAX for a Bags Brothers Capital. That's my boy's crypto holding. But yeah, there's some names right now that I think are pretty interesting. Maker's kind of interesting. Ave's kind of interesting to me. Not just talking my book here. I don't own some of these. But yeah, there's some alts out there that are worth me throwing a few dollars at, I think, in my humble opinion, as the kids like to say on the interwebs.
I want to see Dodge go to $1.
Well, you're gonna be waiting.
No, man, you gotta realize these market cap, like same thing with Shiba and Dodge, like these market caps are just already too large for these guys to have these types of moves, right? So like when you see 20, 30, 40%, 40x moves, it's because the market caps were small.
Sure.
Right? Like comparatively, like Dodge to Bitcoin, it's pretty decent market cap for Dodge.
So what I've got the boys in currently, and so now I'm gonna talk the book a little bit. Avalanche, the graph. I really like the graph. Aave, Compound, and Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Polkadot. That's what Bags Brothers Capital is currently invested in.
Nice.
So there's some shit coins for you.
Speaking of shit coins, how about energy?
Ah,
Yeah,
somebody page Monkey Banana Genius for us.
I know. He is so bullish.
He doesn't even own it.
And
He's
so,
not.
so I think he's trolling, but Blackouts has been on the Oxy kick for a minute. I just, guys, like I drew it earlier for Duzio. Like, this is not the most bullish setup you're going to see. Like, it's just not.
Yeah, I also laid it out for what's his name, MBG as well, right? So I'm like, you have back-to-back dojis on the quarter, you have higher lows on the daily, the weekly negative divergence. Like, there's just so much, and it refuses to die. So part of me thinks that he may end up being right, but it could just be a reaccumulation phase. I don't see it yet, especially with oil barely holding on to 70.
When the huckleberries become dingleberries, is getting ready what's about to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, look at those moving averages. Like, this is like the death spiral. And I don't mean going to zero, but we've targeted 70 on XLE. We've targeted down here in the 50s on XLE. Like, none of that is going to surprise me. I don't think it's going to zero, but it is not, in my opinion, this is not a bullish setup. You have RSI continuing to trend down. You have stochastics, you have volume, you have price action. Like, what other indicators do you need if price action and all these other things are trending down?
So would you be a buyer down around 70? Or
would I be? Or
Sure.
would you be, Mr. Gush?
I mean, the way I'm looking at it is just that it's range bound until it's not. So, I don't know if I would be a buyer, but if I happen to have any shorts on, I would definitely be covering into 70.
You're going commando. You don't have any shorts on?
No.
I mean, even if it went down to 70, you could argue that it's range bound, right?
For sure.
No.
No?
You don't think there's a range from 70 to 90?
You had like two small peaks. The range is in this range, right? It's like between 75 and 81 is what I would say where most of your range is. Those are two small peaks for what, a week or two that got down there and then reversed higher. So to me, the range would be, if I was looking at this, the way I would be looking at it is like 73, 74 to about 87 is what it's been, a little bit less than that, 85. And that's where like if you pull up volume profile, you'll see a lot of volume in that area as well. So it's up 400% since 2020 bottoms, right? So it's going to take time. Unfortunately, it's taking a lot of time because they're propping up oil. And if oil starts to collapse, then I think this collapses faster, but they just, every time oil gets to like 68, the buyers come in. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Either way, better money, better.
Someone asked about FSLR.
Yeah, that was my point, Nick. Better setups out there. Why do I want to waste my time trying to pick a bottom when I can ride something higher?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Someone asked about FSLR.
We've got all kinds of questions in this.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to start at the start and just start picking them off?
Sure. Let's go through it.
On. I know we've talked about on in the past. GP hates it because it's a recent IPO. I said that I thought the chart looked interesting. I think for me, if it clears this like 35 level, like it's game on higher.
Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I would say the same there. But if you're looking at on, you should compare it to GFS, which is, I would say, probably better fundamentals. But you see how IPOs can go on for a while while they're basing. So
Ford has been on an incredible little run for the past like month and a half. So basically since Memorial Day, it has.
Why do I want to sell Ford?
Why do you want to sell Ford?
I'm looking at the chart. I don't look at this chart very often, but like my first glance is I want to sell this.
I think it's on the weekly. I think it's just starting to break out.
So to me, I see a head and shoulders and a throwback. That's happening right now.
A head and shoulders on what time frame?
I'm on a weekly right now. So the left shoulder was where all the volume was on 5/24 week of 2021. And then it retested that again on 8/15/2022. So you'll see all the volume is sitting in the head and the left shoulder. And it's now in the process of distribution with a throwback to the neckline.
If I'm buying something in the teens, it's Rivian.
Right? Do you see the head and shoulders there?
I mean, it's kind of
no.
bastardized. Like if you're talking about this.
Yep. No, not that one. The shoulders is the left one, and this is the throwback to that area, the supply zone. And
Okay,
then,
I got you.
right?
Yeah,
So,
it's the supply. Yeah, it's the supply zone. You're
right. And the reason I say this is the head and shoulders is where the volume shows up, and the volume shows up on the left and on the head, which is typical of a head and shoulders because that's where the distribution is out.
So if it clears 1650, that's invalidated.
I have on my chart 1668.
Okay, 1668 to be precise.
Yeah, on a weekly close, I would say, because
Yeah.
I'm looking at a weekly chart.
So there you go. The nest. Gold. We're not going to talk about gold and silver. We'll talk about gold.
And there's distribution, right? There's
yeah,
distribution on that
like-
right side too. Anyway,
Yeah. We're not gold bugs around these parts. Nick likes the miners. You still like the miners, Nick?
I haven't actually even pulled them up really.
gold
Yeah,
has
you
been
know, I
holding
do
that
actually.
1930 level
I
really
kinda
well,
like-
by the way.
I kind of like F and V. No.
Miners don't look too bad.
Yeah, and gold's been holding that 1929 to 1930 level really well. So it's something to keep an eye on because if it continues to hold here,
Yeah.
maybe gold doesn't go back to 160.
Miners don't look too bad. Like that's not the sexiest chart, but it's definitely not the worst chart.
I think if gold, I have a measured move down to 170, basically 173.80, 174. So like gold's pushing into the 20-day. If we roll over, we'd basically just be pushing into the 200-day. We'd fill that gap from March.
I think
And
that
that's just kind of-
172 level is problematic though, Nick, because now you're down here in this shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got this and this. And if you get down in that 172 area, you're almost confirming that for a move for a right shoulder, potentially.
Sure, I see that.
I would stay out below 175. That's the weekly 50. Personally.
I'll give you 174.
174.50.
All right.
But I think miners look okay. GDX, like it looks like it's trying to cross over the
Yeah.
price action. So if miners and junior miners go higher, gold's going to go higher too. Right? Right?
You would think so. You would think so.
Maybe. Tesla wave 3 Gaga Papa. What is the target for Tesla wave 3? G-Pisa.
Well, it's at a place where it could go either way. But if it does continue breaking out to wave 3, which I think based on the deliveries and the earnings will be the kind of the icing on the cake. The 161 target is 339, 340, somewhere around there. the 261 target is 455, and it can go higher from there. But you could be in a similar conversation about a Head and Shoulders, but it doesn't have the volume to support it. Like Head and Shoulders with the throwback on the weekly. I don't personally think that's what it is here. So I do think if the wave 3 does start happening in better force, you're gonna be at 340 before you know it, and 455 is a potential target.
That sounds reasonable expectations. Nicholas, you have anything to add about Tesla?
Yeah, I think I would have liked. Oh, I actually put it. Hold on. The volume today didn't confirm a breakout over the B point for me, which was, basically that pivot high of 276, but
it's a half day before a holiday volume.
Right.
So we had more volume today than we had on Friday.
I know.
Yeah. I have a measured move at 385 based on and measuring from basically the May 15th, 16th
Yep.
bar, not even measuring that. I'm using that as more of a conservative point rather than like the actual low back in April.
I think it's going to have to work its way up to like this area here, like this 310. I don't think it's going to be a straight shot, but once it gets above there, then 340, 360s, quick, fast, in a hurry, probably.
Yeah, I think it gets to 310, pisses everyone off, and then
and
slops
then, around.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, this is the short double top, where whatever nonsense that people throw out."
I got to talk about my trade today that I took on the old Tesla. This 15 minutes was crazy. And one thing that I've been doing is marking like the 15 minutes, the first 5 minutes of the market to set like a range. So I set my range basically like this, and it blew through. And once it came down and tested, I took the trade. I took the trade right back on that retest. And I set that as my first target. And that is my second target. And by George, if it didn't pay. And then I actually quit for the day. And I was like, I should get long right here. And I did.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is the strategy is called the opening range breakout, right?
Yeah.
And there's strategies that can help you build. They should have a study in TradingView to help you plot these automatically. FYI.
I was just talking. I was just talking to all the people watching because we normally don't break down trades we take. So this was very actionable today, and I thought it was very emblematic of people to be able to be like, huh, that's a new strategy that I've never done. I might try that.
Yeah, there was I can't remember the author's name. He also ran a trading room way back in the day, but he did a Michael Parnas, that's his name. He did a couple of chapters on basically trading gaps largely. And so you can take essentially you take the first 60-minute range and you just wait for the first 60-minute range to get put in. You're generally taking a trade in the direction of whatever, the higher the low gets taken out. General rule of thumb is if a gap fills within the first hour, a significant gap, you're more likely to see a trend day in the direction of the gap. So anyways, there's definitely books and reading out there on trading.
Yeah, they call it ORB, orb strategy, or opening range breakout or breakdown, however you want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know where my VWAP's at, but anyway, I just threw VWAP on there, and this guy was stretching the top of the bands, and I was like, when this happens, I'm just going to take the trade. Quick, easy, 15%. Like there was never a doubt in my mind that the trade was working. The only question was, would it get to my targets, right? And they did. So anyway, Todd Lust wants XBI. XBI needs
Where's Duzio?
It needs some medication. I
mean,
want
it's
to
a pretty-
I want to buy some more Labu, since I sold a large stake up here through this week in the first bit of June. But I still think it can come in just a little bit more. Maybe I'm being greedy, but I'd like to see an 80 test before I.
There's a lot of wicks off this range on the monthly. This is now, to me, starting to look iffy at best.
Yeah, there is a lot of wicks pushing down. Yep, for sure.
So to me, it's gotta have a monster month this month or next month. Otherwise, these wicks are gonna put pressure to the downside.
Yep, I agree. But I would still test it if it came into my wedge. And if it falls out of like 75, it's done. Like we know that was the range. So 75 was the range. If it falls out of 75, it's Kaputski.
Yep.
Who else has got something for us? Roblox. Roblox looks hella good.
What was that?
Roblox.
Yeah, they had an awesome day.
On a half day, pretty damn good. They gets to this point and immediately gets sold off the last 4 times. So 5 times, 6 times. Geez, I don't know how many times. So it's got to prove itself. It's gotten to this level so many times now.
Constructive though. It's constructive currently.
It is. It's not totally breaking down, and it's doing better, but it needs to break out of this range. But this is the thing, right? These are IPOs. This is what IPOs do, because people are trying to get in, so it takes time to accumulate. It doesn't happen overnight. And so that's why you see these wide ranges that goes to the highs and lows. As they're buying, it starts moving up, and as they stop buying, it starts moving back down, so they can start buying again.
Shop looks like a flat. Well, sorry, Nick, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I generally don't like when I draw trend lines. I don't generally like to connect like a low. I like starting my trend line from like a higher low. But being that Roblox kind of already put in a low and then a higher low, last June, if you connect the low from December to I don't know, what is that, through what is it, May 5th, whatever, early May low, we tested that trend line again
last week,
and so it's kind of I know it. Yeah, I agree with GP. Like, we've been up here, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, whatever, 7 times. But now we're kind of moving to the trend lines where it kind of feels like it should be kind of tightening up, and maybe the time is right here.
That gap, it has to be something that, so that gap down was based on some metric numbers that they released, and that was the last release that they're doing, and now it's basically been sideways trending and rejecting that gap every time. So I think you have to see some type of news that potentially changes catalyst that changes that trajectory. And maybe it's Wednesday, some news comes out. I know they're talking about partnership with Sony PlayStation. But I think you'll need something to break it out of this range.
It looks constructive to me. It just looks constructive.
Yeah.
Shopify.
To
me, it looks like it's flagging above the EMAs.
Yeah.
It's just a miserable trader.
Yeah, you wait for these big old boner bars, right? Like,
yeah,
earthy.
nothing, then boom.
Girthy. Girthy.
Yeah. I like the accumulation in the chart overall. It had a monster move off of earnings. It's been kind of V flagging here. And breakout out of this range takes it to about, I'd say, 85 to 90.
John Turner asked about 3M, not something that I think any of us are keen on. You're in a forever downtrend, nearly, at least a since 2018 downtrend. So
Yeah, what the hell?
The
Oh,
mark
yeah,
still
but-
remains 90.29. I will wait for it.
better.
I mean, you're basically at the
Potentially.
breakout from 2012.
Data Dog is next up on the list from Gaga Papa. D Dog has run pretty hard. But I think we're at the point where we got some choppiness going on with all this. You're going to see this volume shelf here. You got to work through that. As GP likes to call it, there's dead bodies, right? So if it gets up here into the 1.8, 110 area, I like it a lot better. But I was talking to Pratt on the phone about that right here. I was like, I need to go buy some Data Dog at near the lows, and then that bitch just runs.
Yep.
So I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna pour one out for my homie.
That 118 level is going to be pretty hard to break out from.
Yeah.
But look, see, that's a chart where you see, hey, look at this. There's volume coming in here, right? Like
Right.
there's people saying this is enough, and I want to be part of this story. So, it's the same place volume showed up in 2020. So it's nice to see the same volume show up here. Because if you found value in 2020, and you gotta hope that they're finding value right back down in that level again.
All right, I'm getting through more questions here. FSLR, specifically for
GP.
Gotum.
Yes. I like it. I'm concerned that it's potentially a distribution pattern, but so far it's holding where it's supposed to. It's higher lows since October 2022. It
Friday's
has
finally caught up.
it's very similar to Shop. It has like its boner bars and then does nothing, boner bars and then does nothing. So it had a really interesting move off that really small acquisition. It went bananas. I think it was up 30%. So that really felt like a distribution kind of blow off top. So it's got to reclaim 196, 197 for further upside. But if it continues to reject that, then I think that FSLR can go lower. And if it was going to go lower, I'd be looking for like the 142 area.
Ooh. Pride before the fall. Yeah, that's a steep drop from here still.
Yeah. But it's a retest of the breakout, right? Basically, or the 161 level. But I still like the 142 kind of level where there's a bunch of wicks from that area.
Yeah, right here. Pratt wants to know about Vroom, BRM. GP still in that guy?
Haven't touched it.
Haven't touched it.
Man, nice trade.
Just letting it ride.
Yeah,
Uber looks amazing.
what's that?
Let it ride.
I said Uber looks amazing.
Does it? Did it
I
clear
like
that level that we talked about last week?
Nope.
No.
Yep. Sorry, I'm not laughing at your amazing chart. That was going to be a pretty hard level to take out, and it basically tagged it almost to the penny. It looks like. Yeah, just about 40, 45, 38.
4
was
week
the-
tight.
Yeah. I like the weekly. I'd be long pretty much anything over 30, I don't know, 7. Actually anything over 34.
Yep. To me, it looks like it's on the verge of a bigger pullback, whether it's time or price is what I
Sure.
would say is probably more time than it is price.
Yeah.
Personally, because they actually went profitable. So I don't think it's going to be as price as much as it is time.
Chris,
So generally speaking, do you think most pull-ins will be relatively shallow, or
I think it's going to be company specific, to be
I
honest.
agree.
Yeah.
Something like Uber, which, as you can see, it's what, a 3-year base or 4-year base at post IPO. it's got accumulation, which is good. It also went profitable. So I'd say the pullback would be smaller than something that's still unprofitable, like a ROKU or something like that. Whereas you saw ROKU went from what, 76 back to 60 in like a heartbeat. Right.
Oh, Roku.
Yeah, it went to 75.45, and right the next week it went back to 60. So they're still unprofitable. So there's your distinction for me, right? Whereas Uber has now turned profitable. So I'd lean towards time correction versus price correction.
Pratt wants to know about CRISPR. I haven't looked at this name in a long time, and
I
it's
haven't either, actually.
for a $56. I remember back in here when it was $56. Doesn't look terrible, but for me, better setups.
Yeah.
This is biotech, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate biotech. So good luck.
Wait till that 200-day to start curling up. Until then, the 200-day is just going to keep price either pulling back or chop.
That's good advice, Nick.
So Rachel asked real quick about what do I mean by time versus price pullback? I mean, the pullback in price might be 10%, but the time might be, instead of 3 weeks tight, it might be 7 weeks tight, or it might be 12 weeks tight, or whatever, right? It could take a few months to kind of work off some of the overboughtness, and then set up for another move. So that's why I'd be looking at time versus price.
So corrections can happen through time or price or both. Rachel, to answer your question, GP did a good job on the pullback, but when markets get overextended, or they hit a huge valley, so to speak, time or price will even that out. So if you have a huge upswing, the counterbalance of that would be a huge downswing, or it would just be the chop, right? To let all the indicators and everything catch up. So it's either time or price. Intel, you're still bullish Intel, GP?
I am. I actually just added some calls a few weeks out today. I like it. It's got volume down here to boot. It's on the side that kind of confirms that a move is coming. The question is when with Intel, because it's owned by so many. I really like it.
He likes it a lot.
Yeah. But it's just ugly trader as well. It just does what it does.
I think that's it. I think we got, oh no, CRM distribution or consolidating for the next leg higher. I mean, I don't dislike Salesforce.
I like it.
I've been a Salesforce honk for a very long time. It has run a lot from that 120 bottom. I think this is a great example of correcting over time instead of price, right? Because if we shoot up, one way to fix that is to come down greatly, right? And then you kind of average out, you're kind of somewhere in here. But if you shoot up and you just kind of do this forever, you're consolidating for the next up. So I think we're in a consolidation personally for Salesforce.
Yeah, it might be a mini distribution if that's what you're looking at, right? Like part of the cycle is I bought at 126 and it's now 225. I'm going to take profits. And so those people are now getting out.
Yeah.
And then the people who see a bigger upside are trying to get in. So the question is, where do they find that value? And so far that 204, 205 level has has shown that buyers are willing to step in.
Yep. Wow. We just went through 55 minutes. Like this one flew by, guys.
Yeah.
This one really flew by. I'm really
Dude.
enjoying our Monday nights.
Yeah, I do too. I like the Monday night.
Yeah, I do too. It kind of like, it just feels right.
Are you guys football fans? Like,
Football? Hell yeah.
yeah. What time does like Monday night football normally start?
I think the first couple of weeks they do 2 games, the 7 and 10,
Okay.
and then it's the 8:30 game. So we might need to adjust an hour before
Ah.
or whatever.
Hour before. All right. Yeah. Great idea. I was just curious.
You know what time it is, what we like and don't like.
Ooh.
Who wants to step up to the plate?
Yeah, I like Clack and LRCX. I also like obviously Visa and JP Morgan.
Clack. You've spoken about lovingly for a very long time. Oh, sorry, Row Crab. ED. We missed one. ED. I don't even know it. Consolidated Edison.
Why?
It doesn't look like a great chart to me. I mean, it might be trying to bottom here in this range, but doesn't look. Yeah, I think for me, there's better trades out there.
Yeah. What's the purpose of Con Ed, I guess is the question. What's the yield on it? And if it's not above 5, then why are you in Con Ed and
That
not?
looks a little distribution-y, doesn't it?
It does. I guess if you're in a stock right now that's paying less than what treasuries are paying, I'm not sure why you're in those stocks, because what's the upside of Con Ed, to be honest? It's a utility company that's pretty much gone sideways since 2016.
HubSpot. Take on HubSpot. This will be our last request. HubSpot.
How does that? I like it a lot.
Yeah, it looks good.
I freaking love all the expensive names.
Yeah, I'm in Asana. I mean, hey.
Asana looks great, and that guy keeps buying, man. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's wild. Clack. What else, Nick?
I like LRCX here.
Yeah, you've spoken lovingly about both of those.
I like AVGO,
Yep.
Broadcom.
Yep.
And then yeah, Visa, JP Morgan. I love Google. I think Google looks great here.
Yeah, I like Google too. I went really big on it last week.
I think Shop is probably one of my, like, that's probably my focus setup here. I like Airbnb too, actually.
What do you not like, Nicholas?
Basically anything commodity, like all the gold and energy, just anything that's basically not set up to go.
Bad setups is what Nicholas doesn't like.
Yeah.
Or less than prime setups that are out there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair. GB?
If you're looking, so I'll start with a few, right? So if you're looking for a laggard name that has not really had the big move up yet, but has a lot of volume showing up, one is Path.
Oh yeah, Path U and
U's had a pretty big
Plantar
move.
Tech.
Path has not, right? Yet
Yeah.
the volume has been increasing to the upside quite a lot over the last couple of months, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5 months. So
Wow.
and it's just kind of stuck in this range. So the breakout from this 19,
That's a whole lot of volume.
Yep. So Path is one that if you're looking, if it clears, I would say 18-ish or something like that.
Yeah.
I think you're in a good position to stay long if it clears that area. Might be a good swing trade a few months out. If you're looking at calls, then I would look maybe November, September timeframe. I just saw it while I was looking through it. It's not one I spent a lot of time on, so I will look at it more now that it's caught my eye. I've also been adding Verizon as yeah.
VZ.
It's at the bottom of like a 20-year range. The yield is better than the inflation yield or the treasury yield. It's 7.3%. I think it totally makes sense to own Verizon as a small part of the portfolio. My personal opinion.
Wow.
This is not a trade.
That's just not a name I expected to hear from you.
Yeah.
It's not like I like it. It's just I think
It is what it is.
I think it's prudent to have some. That's my personal opinion, but that's me. I really like Netflix going into earnings, as always, but I really think it has the ability to fill that gap finally. There's literally no volume above 458, right? Until you get all the way to 510 or 528 or something like that. So it tends to have earnings run-ups. So this is one to be watching.
It's crazy. It's only in 16 days earnings.
Yeah, exactly. What else do I like? I like coin. I really like coin. But we've already talked about that. Costco looks phenomenal.
Yeah, we pointed out Costco several weeks ago, and it's done nothing but continue to go higher.
Yeah. I like Rivian for just a long-term placement. But once again, I was buying in the 14, so it's easier to say it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still don't like China names. There's just unpredictable, and there's so many better trades out there that it's just not worth the headache anymore.
What about LI though? Or do you like LI?
The automaker?
Yeah.
Uh
I suppose it's an IPO name, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, if I'm not buying at 12, I want to buy it above the breakout. That's kind of how I view these IPOs, because the ranges are wide, so I don't want to get caught at the top, right? Like if it just gets to 46 and then dies or whatever. I just don't, the whole space just doesn't leave me feeling any kind of comfort, the Chinese stock space, because they just don't do what they're supposed to.
For me, I like Freshworks a lot. This has been on my watch list for too long.
Oh.
Really like Freshworks. It's a software name. Also liking Mickey. I like the action in Mickey. It needs to get a little bit, needs to push a little bit higher, but Mickey's shaping up finally, maybe. Looking okay. Surprise, surprise, I don't like energy. Not going to like energy, and I'm not crazy about the banks right now. Actually, they had a good day today. Here's Morgan Stanley for you, but XLF doesn't look, I mean, after today's bar, it looks a little bit better. We'll see how the week closes. But I was viewing this as more of a stop out on the 50. So we'll see. It needs to cross all those moving averages over. I'm not saying take a short on XLF. I'm just saying that I think there's easier things out there right now. That's all. Cool. And in 63 minutes, that's a wrap. We appreciate everyone for stopping in on the pod this evening. Please, please, please comment, like, subscribe. All that stuff helps us. It gets our channel more attention. It gets more people watching. Please share when you see us post on Twitter or Stock Twits. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're just out here trying to share some ideas and some experiences we had, and hopefully, it's helpful. This is not financial advice, but we're just trying to give the lessons that we've learned from trying to understand charts. So there you go. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for stopping in. Pratt, Young Gun Lover, AWARS, everybody who's here, we really appreciate it. Nick, GP, my amigos, always great time with you. Hey, everybody, have a safe and a happy 4th of July if you're in the States. Hopefully that you are able to celebrate with friends and family and celebrate responsibly. But with that, we're going to call it a night, and we will see you back trading on